I want to welcome the GMs and the wives, the godly men and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. So, your mysterious resilience is annoying to them. And this is going to be true for anybody that is on the righteous path, the spiritual path, where you are making adjustments each day to bring about the best possible outcomes for your life. And you may be someone that is going through a bit of a patch where there are a lot of uncertainties that are revealing themselves. And it's almost like you've got to choose which door to go through. Anybody seen Monsters Inc., where there's all of these different kinds of doors and you don't really know which one is going to what's going to happen on the other side until you really open it. And sometimes the doors have certain things painted on them, but you don't really, again, know what's going to be on the other side until you open the door. You might be in a spot where there are a few different doors presented to you, and you can look at the door and look at what kind of painting it is or what kind of frame it has. And you might think that, oh, well, that door over there might be the good one. But then there's that bright red sign on the white door that says danger. And you're thinking to yourself, I don't really know if I want to go through that door because that one looks really dangerous. But that's probably going to be the one that might give you the most highest risk and highest reward. So, depending on where you're at in your life, you're going to be able to make these kinds of decisions. And it's important to remember that you can always make more money, you can always make more investments or read more books or write more or paint more, or whatever you want to be doing with your time. I don't know. You can always have a job. You can always have another job, right? But what can't you do? You cannot always make more time. We all have a limited amount of time on this planet, and so we have to make adjustments fervently and with practical decision-making processes. Otherwise, we're going to be wasting our time legitimately. And if you're watching this video, you're probably someone that is not wasting their time. You're probably learning or trying to learn how to invest your time into more proper things that are going to propel you forward and move you in the kind of direction that you want to see. But really, a lot of the people out here, when they see that you're choosing doors to success and they see that you have the results to back it up, they're not going to be very fond of that. They're not going to be very fond of it. Some of them out there. In fact, I would say most people, because a lot of the times you want to be careful who you share joy with. Not necessarily because to share joy is a bad thing. I wish we could be joyful and empathetic and compassionate with everybody. But a lot of the times there are people that are so beside themselves and so lost in spiritual darkness that there's really not a lot of hope for them to be on the other side in the light. It's just that they're so caught up in the darkness that they can't really see beyond the dark. And we can have love or compassion for these people, but they're not going to rise in love with us. They're not going to rise in courage or integrity or compassion with us. So you have to really discern for yourself, okay, what kind of behaviors do I want to exude and really present, not just to myself, but to the people in my community or here on the online community. You know, one of the coolest things about having an online community, and for those that are not aware, we do have an online community for the Regal Change Academy on School. More information is in the description box, but one of the benefits of this is that you are around people that are seeing the glitches in the matrix. You're around people that are actually wanting to better themselves and self-develop and self-improve. They have a stoic-like mindset. They have love for God. they follow Jesus, and they all want to, no matter who it is in this community online, they all want to move forward. And that's really what this is all about, is encouraging each other to move forward. But there are going to be many people out there where they're kind of bothered by your peculiarity. And in the Bible, it does say that God's chosen people, God's people are a peculiar people. And Jesus also says that where your treasure is, there is also your heart. Well, this has multiple meanings. It means that you need to be careful who you give your heart to, but don't be afraid to share your treasure. In fact, I would encourage everybody to share their soul and share their spirit. And it's going to be very often the case where if you're listening to any kind of content creator like myself, which I really don't think that there is a content creator exactly like me, because I have such a niche and such a certain way of going about things, but there are other people that talk about topics like I do. And I respect those content creators because they're putting out the truth. And the best way to show support sometimes and to not be a hater is to simply click the like button or to comment, like not just on my stuff, but on these other content creators as well. If you really support messages like this, then go to those other content creators and give them and show them the love and support that they need, because us people that are godly, that are on the righteous path, we don't really ask for encouragement. We don't really necessarily need it, but we do need and want to have a relationship, at least those that are authentic, with the audience in some way. Because I don't necessarily see my subscribers or my followers as followers or subscribers. These are people that are living a common life that want to grow with me and with themselves and with God ultimately. But there are many people out there that do not want to see you be resilient in these tough times. There are many people out there that do not want to see you succeed through the hardships after you've been in the trenches, after whatever happened at your job, or whatever happened with your parents, or whatever happened with a family member or a loved one getting cancer or something. Like, you've been through all these certain kinds of hardships, and believe me, I've seen time and time again godly people go through the toughest shit, and most of the time you'll never know it, because they wear it so well. Like, they wear the hurt so well. It's not necessarily that they don't feel, or that they don't have hurt, or they can't feel anything, because I've been told by some people that when I'm out and about in the community, it's like I'm so stoic that they have no clue what I'm thinking. Like, I have such a neutral expression that they have no clue what I'm thinking, and I have this very particular way of doing things in a way that is also unpredictable, and that's also a little bit mysterious. And you probably have some of this kind of stuff happen to you as well. And if you are anywhere near the kind of resilience that you need to be on this path, then you're going to likely encounter you will have likely encountered a lot of hurt in the past, a lot of mistakes, a lot of times that are needing to be forgiven by yourself, so that you can ultimately ask God for forgiveness and mercy as well. If you can, this is something I learned long ago. If I can get forgiveness from God for my sins and my mistakes, I really don't need much else. And because that is going to be the ultimate breakthrough for my spirit. And we people that are of God must understand and remember that we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right on the other side. This world that we live in is temporary. And even though that we're going to be, like, we're here to learn, right? We are here to experience and learn from not just our own experiences, but from other people's experiences as well. A lot of the times people think that the only way to gain true experience or wisdom is from ourselves and from what we experience, and that's very true. Don't get me wrong, that can be very true. But another thing that is very true is learning what to do or what not to do from other people, and what they're doing or what they're not doing. How do they interact with people? How do they not interact with people? How you interact with people in general says a lot about the kinds of experiences that you've had growing up, as far as I'm concerned. And this is one of the reasons why I give a shout out to specifically warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women, because generally those kinds of women have not been exposed to the great darkness of reality. And it's not necessarily that these women haven't been like hurt before, or haven't been through trials and tribulations or anything of the sorts, but it's more so that they have a healthy relationship with themselves and with God, number one and two. So God being number one, of course, but really there are so many people. It's just mind blowing to me, the haters out there, because why would you spend so much time hating on somebody? I never understood that. I never understood it. Even when I wasn't the man that I am today, I never understood that you could hate something. Like, I was maybe jealous of something, but the only reason that I was jealous was because I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't jealous of that person. I was just like, well, how did they do that? Like, how do they do that? Because that's what I wanted to learn. That's what I wanted to understand, is how. I didn't hate this person. I didn't have envy toward them or their lives or anything like that. I just looked at their life and I thought, wow, that person seems to have a kind of life that I would want someday, or at least fragments of it. How do they do what they do? It's really, there's no need to hate. There's no time for it, really. And if you're somebody that's hating, it's just, number one, it's unattractive. And number two, there are just so many other things you could be doing that are better for your life. And your resilience in these times where, if you are being shown hate, or you are being shown some really dark stuff about reality right now, there are some really malevolent things that are happening. You've been done dirty. You've been done wrong for no reason, just by being who you are. It's almost like being the authentic you sometimes gets you into trouble, because you're not lying to yourself just like everybody else. And it's unfortunate, but it's so true. And the best thing to do that I would recommend, even despite the consequences and despite everything that's happened, even in my life, where being true has led me to, I've had to make calculated decisions. I've had to make calculated understandings of what's happening and what's not. And I've had to take calculated risks. Again, this goes back to the high risk, high reward with the danger sign on the door. How do you want to go forward? How do you want to live life? This is going to be something that determines your destiny. This is going to be something that determines who you are going to be. And so, are you going to create your destiny, or are you going to let reality shape you? Because you are a part of the reality just as much as the reality is a part of you. Your mind is not in the universe. The universe is inside your mind. And this is something that, if you can understand this, you'll understand what Jesus really means when he says your treasure is where your heart is, because your heart is the loving experience. I mean, I just love this because it's such a parable, but it's such a not parable either. Like, it's everything and nothing all at once, but much like Jesus' words are. But the treasure where your heart is. You'll find your treasure where your heart is. Your heart is your home, and you don't really need, like, it's good to have things. It's good to, be in the world and acting in accordance and be sophisticated and to be educated and to also be a bit of a savage for the men out there. You need to be a sophisticated savage or a godlike savage at times, but with boundaries and being respectful of others and having others respect you, ensuring that you are commanding respect without being a dick about it. That's really a lot of the goals, I would say, of most people ought to strive for. But the fact of the matter is, whatever kind of choice that you make in this life is going to determine your tomorrow. And we don't ever even really know if there's going to be a tomorrow. We have no clue. But I want you guys to think about this for a second and remember this. It's that if there is something that has happened or that is happening and you're being tried and you're in the fire, you're maybe in a baptism of fire perhaps. If this is happening, there's a reason for it, and I encourage you to trust the process and stay resilient through these times, because that mysterious resilience is going to serve you in the long run, no matter what. It's going to make you a stronger man or a woman. It's going to ensure that you know what it takes to not just survive, but to thrive. And with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.